Welcome back to another Bit Here's video. Today we are talking about the idle dimension. Alright, let's jump into it. So, the newest expedition comes to us kind of towards the end of Tier 10. And it is the idle dimension. So with all the expeditions, you have 4 portals, 4 mythics, 1 mythic fam. Let's talk about it. So here we go. The first portal is the Gob X portal with an Asterix or Viking theme. It was a Viking comic book that was pretty popular maybe 10-15 years ago by now. And the first mythic item is Sleipnir, which is named after Odin's horse, Odin's 8-legged horse actually. And for a little backstory on that one, or your fun fact of the day, the story of Sleipnir is that there was a giant attacking Asgard, and nobody could figure out what to do because the giant was so massive. I mean, Thor's hammer would basically do nothing against it. So all the gods are freaking out trying to figure out what to do. Loki sees that the giant has a giant horse along with him, so Loki turns into a female horse and lures the horse away, and the giant chases after the horse, and Asgard is saved. And the end of that story is that Loki actually ends up getting pregnant by the horse, and the horse has Sleipnir as his kid. Well, so there you go. That's it. Odin's 8-legged horse. That's Norse mythology for you. Who would have thought? Anyways. Okay, so Sleipnir, mythic bow, while above 50% health, damage increased by 5%. Not a bad bonus. Let's look at the skills. Closest enemy, target enemy, it hits 3 times. This is amazing at sniping out enemies for PvP or difficult PvE. And really good at proccing your pet. So this aberrant skill alone makes the bow worth having, especially if you're like a free-to-play player and you get this thing. I mean, that's basically Christmas in July or whatever month you get it in. The draining shot, damage-wise, it's going to be less because the draining shot heals your character. If you're only concerned about damage, you need to hit 5 enemies or more with this skill to out-damage the aberrant skill. But every time you hit an enemy, you do have a chance to proc your pet. So basically, if you're against 5 or more enemies, you can use this one, or if your character's health is low, maybe you got hit and you want to heal yourself back up, you can use the draining shot. The bullseye is a damage self skill that hits the closest enemy, and then you have a furthest skill that hits yourself. These are actually skills worth using. Usually I tell people not to use any 2SP skills, just basically pretend they don't exist. But this, actually, if you divide the damage amount by the 2 SP, it's actually worth it. So, I'm not saying I would necessarily save up for these skills. You may or may not. But if you do have 2 SP on your character, it is worth using these. So, not a problem there. Just depending on if you need closest enemy or furthest enemy. But the kicker is that since this one procs 3 times, it's better at proccing your pet. So basically you have some options. It's a pretty good bow. Pretty good bow. Let's go down the line and just do the rest of the Gob X portal. Let's move on over. So the portal is named for this guy, so let's talk about him. It is a blubber fusion, 60% crit chance. The stats look okay. Looking at the skills, closest, random enemy, heals teammates, damage to all enemies, and then a 2 SP strongest enemy. Again, this is another 2 SP skill that's actually worth using. If you do the math, it's pretty good. And the 1 SP damage all enemies is really good at proccing your proccing effect. His proccing effect is a chance to attack random enemy, which is kind of fitting. Gob X is always like the attack random guy. All of this actually looks pretty good. The only problem is he's got a heal teammates skill. This is not a spread heal. This is a heal teammates. That means everybody on the team is going to receive the same amount, regardless of who has missing health or anything like that. And this skill really shines. If for some reason you wake up and your entire team is all at half health, I mean, this is a skill that you want. But other than that scenario, heal team is going to underperform compared to spread heal or target heal. And that's really a big deal. It's a big deal for a guy like this. So he's fun to have. Is it something that I would try to make? He's not going to be at the top of my list, just because you have so many choices in Tier 10, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but there you go. Heal teammates is what kind of makes this, you know, a no-go for me, but still, it's not a bad fam, and if for some reason, if you just have to have him, you could make him work. Gemor. So Gemor is a block tank. I'm actually looking for a 60% block tank legendary that's worth making, but let's see if Jamor fits the bill. So super high stamina. A lot of times super high stamina can be wasted. You know, you only need as much stamina as you need. You know, as long as you're not dying, all the stamina could go into your attack, for example. And because his stamina is so high, it means his attack is so low, which means that his proccing effect, which is a good one, spread heal's an awesome proccing effect for tank. Because his attack stat is so low, his proc is so low, which is really sad, because he's got actually really good skills. 0 SP shield teammate is amazing, 1 SP spread heal is amazing, but again, not to beat a dead horse or a dead Sleipnir, but since his attack stat is so low, these skills don't have value. They're amazing skills on anybody else, but his attack stat kind of makes it not work for me. And let's look at the cosmetic. So you got a main hand, an offhand, a head, and a body, and they all look pretty good. These were kind of hastily cut together. You can tell by my paint skills, but it works for us. This is the bow. It kind of looks like a staff, but it actually is the bow. There is a red particle effect here that kind of trickles down the bow a little bit. It actually looks really good in game. It's kind of funny that they choose the name of an 8-legged horse, and then here now you have a 0-legged horse. But you know, maybe I'm the only one who's gonna think that's a funny joke. But here's the offhand. Looks kind of weird here, but in game it actually looks kind of cool. So the main hand, offhand together look pretty cool. And then the head and the body give you that gladiator look, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as we get there. Let's go all the way to the beginning on this one. So Maui portal. This one appears to be a Game of Thrones kind of theme, and here is the mount. So it's a nice purple driffin for you guys, looking pretty good. Slibnus is the name of a Slavic dragon, and I guess it kind of keeps that dragon theme here with the offhand. Russia, Poland, etc., etc. You kind of get the idea. So, Slavic dragon name, it's offhand. As far as the defensive bonuses, I'm more of a damage reduction guy. I kind of like just a flat 5% damage reduction on anything over this. But, as far as utility, I mean, it adds up. It's all fine. If you wanted to run this, you could. Again, I like stacking one defensive bonus and then maybe getting a little bit of overspill into another defensive bonus. So, you know, let's move on. Maui, the namesake of the portal. You have Maui over here, 30% damage, closest target, closest to, weakest enemy, and then a 2 SP attack all enemies. And his proccing effect is attack weakest. Okay, not too bad. The damage bonus here does buff the proc effect, so that's kind of cool. 2 issues here. One, well, I guess maybe 3. The first issue is his stamina is so low, you probably can't use him for anything at all. There's so many attack weakest skills in this game. I mean, for example, he even has an attack weakest skill on himself. Attack weakest is going to attack the enemy that has the least health, and health is stamina times 10. So this guy is going to get drilled by attack weakest or by attack team procs that just hit everybody, or like attack all skills that hit everybody. He's just going to die. And PvE, PvP, whatever, he's just going to die, and there's really not much you can do about it. You could try to put a bait tank that has lower stamina than him, but you're going to end up crippling your bait tank just to try to keep this guy viable. So it's really unfortunate for that to happen, but even if his stamina was fine, it's very hard for me to suggest a DPS only familiar. When you're in tier 10, you have so many options. You can get a healer that does a ton of damage, or you can get a damage healer that just does damage. What do you want? Do you want the healer that does a ton of damage, or do you want a damage healer that only does damage? For me, I want that versatility, I want that variety. I want to be able to heal a little bit when I need it, I want to be able to do damage when I need it, and Maui doesn't do that. Unfortunate. Draftkin. Yeah, did I say it right? Draftkin? Okay. So he, kind of interesting. Couple things about him. First off, again, his stamina is super low. All the Driffins have super low stamina. That's just kind of how they roll. And same problem. Same problem. He's going to die. And there's just so much attack weakest in the game. I mean, his proc is even attack weakest. So the chance of him surviving long enough to actually have an output in the game is probably not there. He does have attack closest 3, which would be good at proc and is skilled. He's got a spread heal teammates, which is really good. You know, he would be viable, he would be usable, but the problem is his stamina is so low that you can't really do anything with him. PvE, PvP, anything, it's really not working. Dual strike is a little bit suboptimal on a healer. but since he has attack 3 skill, you can kind of make that work. You could build him to proc his per hit skill. So, anyways, moving on. And was it Marnaris? Did I say it right? I don't watch Game of Thrones. But here we go. So dual strike, super low stamina is the deal breaker for me. Again, same reasons. It is really good for a healer to have a ton of agility. That way she can respond, she can hit her heal, and do what she has to do. These skills are awesome. So closest, weakest, those are good. Spread heal teammates is awesome. And damage to all enemies is awesome. That'll proc the attack weakest proc here. So if you want a healer with an attack brain or attack proc, this is a good way to go. The only problem with an entire kit is, again, super low stamina means that you can't use this. So if you have no healer and you really want to get an epic healer, and maybe you're a new player, you just started playing and this is the first expedition, you could try to go for this one. Usually I'm going to push new players into the first portal so they try to get the bow, because getting the bow skills will probably be a little bit better. But yeah, it's a little bit of a shame. I would be very happy about this guy, but her stamina is too low to make her useful. So what are you going to do? Portal number 3, Wizbot. So Harry Potter themed portal. The bow, or the broom is the mount, and the mythic is Eternal Resolve. This is the gladiator helmet. The cosmetic in-game looks awesome. Kudos to the art department as always. Looks phenomenal. 5% chance to gain 2 SP per turn. There is currently an item in the game that is Necrosis. That is a 10% chance to gain 1 SP per turn, and that is a necklace. I like Necrosis a lot better. You have to compare these two. I like Necrosis a lot better because it's a more consistent bonus. You're going to more consistently get that SP. And instead of having like a feast or famine, if this thing procs a couple times, maybe you have the Polyblaster that doubles the bonus. You have a chance to waste SP or just to not have SP when you need it. Now, if there's some sort of DPS set in the game that comes out in tier 11 that does not allow you to wear a necklace like Necrosis, then this item starts to become interesting. So that's why I'm spending a lot of my time farming this portal just on regen. So is it an item that, oh my gosh, you have to have right now? Probably not, but I could see in the future with different things coming out, you might actually wish that you had this headpiece to make everything work. Also, if you know that you're never going to get the Polyblaster and you want to do a fake Polyblaster build, you can do the Arsenal set, you can do Starweave, you can put the helmet on, and you can put Necrosis on. So instead of having the bonuses of 2 Necrosis with the Polyblaster, you would have Necrosis and you would have this bonus, and it would kind of work out for you. So something fun if you think you're just never going to get the Polyblaster, if you don't want the Polyblaster. You can kind of make it work. Wizbot, so he looks like Dumbledore. He's got dual strike and power. Drain health from all enemies. Spread heal teammates. Weakest, random. Attack enemy team. This is the only attack enemy team proc that is not in the final portal. All of this stuff is kind of cool. You can make it work, but again, look at that stamina. The stamina is too low. You can't do anything with this guy. He's going to get one shot. So, a little bit of a shame, because he's got an interesting kit, and he's got attack enemy team. Also, the attack enemy team is per turn, which is, that's fine on a healer. But it's not working. And then Rockley, kind of like broccoli, but without the B, I guess. He's actually cool. I really don't like absorb tanks. That's a little bit of my personal bias, and as far as my suggestions for like new players, I don't really like absorb tanks, but he's got enough stamina to make absorb work. You need to have really high stamina, because since your absorb is only like 11%, you need to be able to take like 5 hits, 6 hits, 9 hits, because basically he's going to absorb 1 out of 10. He needs to be able to take over 10 hits before he dies. And with stamina like that, he could probably do it. So, again, I prefer damage reduction tanks. It's more consistent, it's easier to use. And the problem is that since you have to have his stamina so high to make him viable, well, just like we talked about in the other guy, his attack stat is going to be super low. So his proc is going to be less, and his awesome skills, these skills are awesome, are going to be less as well. Which is, I don't know if it's a shame. It's good they offer different options. Not everybody needs to be a damage reduction tank, but for me, if this guy was damage reduction and if his had different stats, this guy would be amazing. Heal team is not my favorite proc for the reasons that we talked about with Gob X. It's just a little bit of healing to everybody. Usually when you're taking damage, it's single target damage. It's, the boss hits one guy on your team really, really hard, and you want to fill him back up with health. Heal Team doesn't do that. But his skills, again, are awesome. I'd love to see more stuff like this. I'm really happy that an Epic Fam is getting awesome skills like this to help out free-to-play players. I really suggest Epic Fams for free-to-play players because you can basically do everything in the game with an Epic. But heal self, shield self, 0 SP, 1 SP, amazing skills. Amazing tank skills. I like him a lot. Moving on over, Hebo. So, Deflect, a Deflect tank, no self-sustain, you know. If you want a Deflect tank, I guess there you go. Personally, for me, I would just save the materials for something else. Maybe make that Rockley or something instead of making a Deflect tank out here. Deflect is only really useless versus like the Goose flag, and after that, you don't really use it that much. Even in PvP, a lot of the damage in PvP comes from proccing effects, and Deflect doesn't really help there. We kind of keep it a short story. Let's go back to the first one. Alright, boys, last portal. We're almost done. An awesome chariot mount. I don't know if I'm ever going to get this mount, but it would be baller to do a GVG, roll in there, and everybody have the chariot mount. I think that would be pretty terrifying for the enemy team, but maybe that's just me. Ultimatum is the body, and you guys saw the body cosmetic. It's kind of like a gladiator theme. And dual strike, quad strike, not bad bonuses. If it was all quad strike, you're putting a lot of eggs in one basket. You're getting some dual strike here, you're getting a little bit of quad strike, so it's possible for you to do it, but again, the percent is low. So it's viable. You can wear it if you get it, if you want it. Not a big deal. Let's talk about the Mythic Familiar. Astimus, Decimus Meridius, the leader of the 5th Legion or whatever, you know. So he's made with the Raid 1 boss and the Raid 2 boss, and Gladbeard, we'll talk about him. 30% damage is awesome. It helps your pet proc, it helps your skills. 5% skill damage does not help your pet proc, it only goes into your skills. So a little heads up for that. Again, we're seeing the same problem with the stamina. Stamina is so low that basically that kind of stops our conversation. His stamina is so low that you can't really use him in anything. And for a Mythic Familiar, to have a big flaw like that makes him a no-go, unfortunately, but he's still really cool. Closest enemy attacks 2 times, target enemy attacks 2 times. These skills are really good at proccing your attack enemy team. I was actually really concerned that we're going to see a ton of familiars that have attack team on them, and I'm kind of happy that we don't see a ton of familiars like that. He has a drain health from all enemies, attack weakest, closest, furthest. Again, because these skills are damage self, they're actually worth using these 2 SP skills if you had this guy, but again, everything points to super low stamina, and he's a Mythic Fam, so he's going to take a ton of resources to make. So, oh well, he's kind of off the list. Gladbeard, he's pretty cool. This is kind of, a lot of people are sad about this guy for the same reason. Super low stamina. There's a lot of people that would have wanted to use this guy if he had stats that made him viable. So crit chance, closest enemy, closest to, drain health from all enemies, spread heals at 2 SP, and he's got a target enemy skill. A lot of people really wanted to make him, but again, that stamina is super low. I'm not sold. I think the people that want to make him are just excited to get their hands on an attack enemy team proc, but his skills don't jump out to me as something that I have to have. He's not a 1 SP healer. He only has some double hit skill. I mean, he's not jumping off the page. He looks cool in game. And then on top of it, he takes 2 Raid 2 bosses, or Raid 3 bosses? Yeah, Raid 3. He takes 2 Raid 3 bosses to do. So, I'm not sold. But he still looks cool. And the most interesting out of all of them, to me, is this guy, Gob X. So he can be found in any portal at all. That's the same with all these Gobby fusions. 30% in power chance is great for a healer. His stats are great for a healer. He appears to have enough stamina. He's got super high agility, which is again good for a healer because you can respond. If your healer has a lot of agility, you're not going to get hit 3 times in a row before your healer can catch up. He's going to be able to slip in little heals there, doing his thing. Awesome. Chance to spread heal team per turn is awesome as well. If it was attack, if it was per hit, it would only proc on his offensive skills. But since it's per turn, it can proc when he does a heal, it can proc when he does his shielding, it can proc when he hits, etc, etc. So, pretty nice. Good stats, good proc, and let's look at his skills. So, weakest enemy, awesome. Shield teammates, 0 SP, that's amazing. Spread heal teammates for 1 SP, that's amazing. And originally I criticized him because I said he doesn't have a 1 SP heal. That's because I was so stuck in the old meta of all 2 SP skills and beyond are usually useless. This is not. If you do the math, if you divide this damage by 2 SP, it's actually pretty good. It still looks low just because he's got a bunch of agility and he doesn't have a bunch of attack power, but this is not a bad 2 SP skill. This is actually pretty good. And he's got a special skill here, usable once per adventure, spread shield teammates, and this doesn't look like a ton, but it's significant. If you compare this to what his other spread shield is, it's pretty significant. It is a little bit lower than you might think for like a mount-esque skill or a pseudo-mount skill. And that's because, again, his power is so low, his agility is so high, that any skill that you can use once isn't super exciting or anything like that. But this is the fusion that I'm most interested in. This is actually my my screenshot for me on him, and I do have 5 Gobbies. So if I got one more, I could make 6 of these guys if I wanted to. So I might do that in the future if I want a pure dedicated healer. Where this guy fits in, I said earlier that you don't want a DPS only familiar because you want a familiar that can heal and do DPS. And kind of in the same note, you don't want a healing familiar that only does healing, when you can have a guy that can do both. However, when we start seeing more 5-man content, which I'm predicting in tier 11, tier 12, whatever, we're going to see more 5-man content, maybe in the campaign, in the Ancient Dungeon. Maybe they add in a special Trials and Gauntlet that has a 5-man version or something like that in the future, because they really haven't updated Trials in a while. So I'm going to start anticipating that kind of stuff, and when we start anticipating that kind of content, then you start to have a place on your team for a dedicated healer, or for a dedicated DPS, etc., etc. So that's when that starts getting interesting to me. Does that make sense? I hope so. Although we do have to compare Gob X to the new healer from the world boss. So like we talked about in the world boss video, you have Korg, dual strike, quad strike, again a pretty good amount of agility, cool skills, spread heal teammates for 0, spread shield teammates for 0 SP, a healed target teammate, and then the thing here is, since he has a 2 SP revive, the revive I think is what makes Korg a healer that I would rather have over the Gobby one. And the other thing is, anytime that you use Gobbies in a fusion, you know future fusions will come out with Gobbies, so do you want to use all your Gobbies now because they're so rare, or do you want to save them and see what comes out in the future? So I don't know, I'm scratching my head. I kind of feel like I'd rather have Korg on my team than have the new Gob X, but that's where I'll leave it for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Definitely, leave some comments or talk on my Discord. Twitch is growing amazingly. We've had so much growth over the past couple days, especially with the Double Drop GVG, doing 24-hour streams and everything. We did a ton of 24-hour streams, never dropping under 20 viewers, which is pretty crazy if you think about 4 a.m. on like a Tuesday or a Sunday or a Friday. That's pretty cool. So I'm very happy with that. Twitch is growing like crazy. The Discord's growing like crazy. If you want a place to talk about Bit Heroes, or if you want a place to talk when I'm not online, or a good way to reach me, Discord is the answer always. They can help you with your raid team. They can help you with your build. They can help you with whatever. You can talk about whatever you want. You can post cat pictures in the off topic. That's all it is. And now on YouTube, since we have over 1,000 subs, we now have access to community posts. So you can go over here, you can click on community, and you can actually see the pictures that I talk about in the videos. I'm going to be uploading all of these pictures that you've ever seen in all the videos here. I know some of you guys are never going to go to Discord. I totally get it. Even though that you know that you should, it's just not your thing. You're not going to go there. So I totally respect that. I want to bring the content to you and not make you guys bring yourself to my content, whatever's easiest for the viewer. So all of those little infographic pictures, eventually I'll load them up here, possibly today, possibly tomorrow, who knows. But that way you guys can check it out. You can click on this. If you're like, hey, what did he say in what video? You can make comments and talk about all this stuff. I mean, I posted this like late last night, and we'll figure it out. I'm gonna see if there's a way to make it bigger. We'll figure it out. We'll troubleshoot it. This is actually a new thing for YouTube in general. So we'll figure it out. We'll get it working. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.